all the planets in the galaxy. They chose ours.
I'm actress Mila Jovovich, and I will be portraying Dr. Abigail Tyler. This film is a dramatization of events that occurred October 2000.
I like this place. I always have.
Something's wrong with me.
Welcome back to the Evolution of Horror. My name is Mike Munter, and as ever, I am your host. If you're tuning in for the first time, then welcome. In this podcast, we explore and dissect the history and the evolution of the horror genre by looking at particular subgenres one series at a time. We are currently in the middle of our 7th season exploring the evolution of alien horror, and this is part 28. This week, as we've reached nearly the end of the series, we're going to be wrapping up by recommending some additional titles that we haven't had a chance to cover in depth. So it's going to be a little Also Rans episode. Me and my guest are going to be coming at you thick and fast with lots and lots of titles. We're going to be splitting these recommendations into categories: alien invasion movies, to alien abduction movies, to found footage movies, and a whole bunch of other categories. We'll get into it as we go, but there is plenty to recommend. All of the discussions for these movies will be spoiler free, so just get ready to jot down some of these titles because there are some absolute gems we're going to be recommending. So, of course, who else would I have joining me for such a discussion? He's back. He was last here on our Mind and Body series discussing Under the Skin, and it's a pleasure to have him back. Hello again, Brad Hanson.
Hello, mate. How are we?
I'm all right. I can't complain. How have you been?
I've been fine, mate.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, I'm not dead.
As far as you're aware.
As we were just talking before we started recording, I've just finished jury service.
Oh my God, yeah. How was that? In my head, I picture it to be quite exciting, like 12 Angry Men, but it's probably not like that, I guess.
No, it's a lot of waiting around. The judicial process and the swift hand of justice moves fairly slowly.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But, you know, I can now say I've sent someone to prison, so there you go.
I love it. I'm terrified. As a freelancer, the idea of getting called up to do that terrifies me because I will not be paid as well. So,
well, you will, but it will be absolute dog shit money.
It will be nothing, exactly. I haven't showed you this before we started recording, but Rihanna got sent
I saw it on Twitter earlier.
Okay,
I'm furious.
You've seen it.
I'm furious.
I've got, for anyone listening, a Merry Cagemas Nicolas Cage Christmas jumper on. And I was like, this is perfect. It arrived today at our house when I was scheduled to chat to Brad. So I thought, I've got to put this on. I don't even like Nicolas Cage, but I had to wear it for you, Brad. I had to wear it.
I believe that's called salting the wound. Fuck you, Lionsgate.
I know. Damn it, Lionsgate. We've got so many films to rattle through in the next couple of hours. Let me start off briefly by asking you, Brad, about your thoughts. Now, actually, on the last series, you came and talked about Under the Skin with me, didn't you? An amazing film about an alien. And I remember us actually having a conversation then, right, where you were like, I actually don't love that subgenre very much, right? You're not the biggest fan of kind of sci-fi alien horror.
Not particularly, no. I mean, there are some standout, stellar examples of alien horror. Don't get me wrong. Like, obviously, come on, please. Like the things you've covered on the main episodes, you know, The Thing,
the biggies, yeah.
Alien. How can you not like these films? But when it comes to kind of, you know, the mid-tier to low-budget alien horror, I would say it's a pretty shallow pool of goodness, but I have 67 films here that I have to share with you today.
Strap in, everybody.
Pens and papers at the ready.
Yes, and incredible. There are so many, ridiculous amounts. What we'll do is we've selected about 10, right, that we're going to recommend and talk a bit about, and then the others will kind of list them off as we go. And you, as ever, Brad, have been a superhero with this, putting this together, and you've come up with a list of titles, and you've even categorized them into kind of subgenres of the subgenre, right, into sort of categories of alien movies.
I would be remiss if I hadn't have put this extensive research together. You know, people have come to expect it from me. I'm here to deliver.
I love it so much. So, Without further ado, let's get straight into it, shall we? Brad, where are we going to start? What's your first recommendation?
We're going to start in the invasion category. And we're going to go in chronological order in the subgenres.
Sure. Makes sense. Sure. Yep.
Which brings us to 1995's Species.
She escaped. We have a serious emergency on our hands.
I want a team to track her. Hunt her down.
You created a monster, now you want us to kill it.
We decided to make it female so that it would be more docile and controllable.
More docile and controllable. I guess you guys don't get out much.
This is actually, I think, one of the first films we mentioned together when I was like, Brad, obviously come and do the Also Rans, and you were like, brilliant, I'll get to talk about the Species films, basically.
Yeah, I mean, those are very formative films in my adolescent and teen life. I have a vivid recollection of buying Species and Con Air.
Nice.
2 for £20 deal on VHS.
Oh my god, £10 per VHS, mental.
Per VHS from Our Price.
Oh, I miss Our Price.
Ugh, the dream.
Do you remember there were the bits where you could listen to music and you'd have to put the big headphones on where the CDs were playing in the little spinny things as
and you'd
well.
be like, this is the latest hit from Peter Andre.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. So Species, tell us about Species.
Follows a group of scientists trying to track down and trap a killer alien seductress before she successfully mates with a male.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, it's Natasha Henstridge, is that right? Who plays
her feature film debut?
And I think we'll all remember Natasha in this film, and I think even if you haven't seen Species, you'd probably recognize the posters, the DVD cover, the video cover, whatever, right? It's it feels quite iconic these days.
It kind of almost typifies that 90s because it comes out in this kind of age of steamy erotic thrillers.
Yeah.
And they were like, what if we did that but with an alien?
Right. And it's really interesting because it is sort of trashy, right? But as far as I remember, this movie also has a pretty strong cast, I think, doesn't it? It's like there are some A-listers in this cast. I think Ben Kingsley is in it.
Correct.
And is Alfred Molina in this as well?
Correct.
I mean, it's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, so you've also missed out Michael Madsen and Forrest Whitaker.
Oh, I can believe Michael Madsen. But yeah, Forrest Whitaker, amazing.
And a very young Michelle Williams plays Baby Sil, or, Child Sil.
There you go. Are you a fan generally then of Species, Brad?
The first one, yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. Species 2's fun. Anything after that, once Henstridge departs, it's absolute dog shit.
Mm-hmm.
But, you've got H.R. Giger as special effects for, the kind of nightmare train, which apparently the studio didn't want to actually shoot because they were like, oh, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money. So he personally financed it, and he's still pissed off. Well, he's obviously dead now. But he was really pissed off that they spent 20 minutes filming this this nightmare train sequence that he designed, and it's in the film for 10 seconds, little flashes of it and stuff.
Oh, it's so typical, isn't it? But yeah, it's got a lot of interesting stuff about it, this film. I haven't seen it since the 90s, but I remember it being a lot of fun. I've never seen the sequels, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't break your back to do that. I mean, Roger Donaldson, who helmed this film, I think he does quite a good job because the source material is pulpy and campy, but it is slightly progressive. And if you look at it as an allegory for policing women's sexual agency, I think it's slight. I'll give it some more credit that it's perhaps deserves. That's what my takeaway from the film is, that she's almost slut shamed into wanting sex. Obviously, her motive for wanting sex isn't because she wants orgasms; it's because she wants to populate the earth with killer alien beautiful women.
Yes, you do.
But I say that's fine.
Yeah, give me that world.
I want that world. It's certainly better than the world we're living in right now. What a way to go.
There you go. It's actually a utopia, this film. I love it.
It is.
So there you go. That is Species from 1995. Absolute classic. An excellent one to kick off the list. Brad, what's next? We're staying in the invasion category for the next one.
We are. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you that it is available on the MGM extension on Amazon Prime.
Oh, yes. Excellent. Oh, I love this. Yes. Perfect. So there you go. All right. What's next?
We're jumping to 2006 and we're going to talk about Slither.
Oh, Slither.
From Universal Pictures comes a film so shocking.
We've got a real problem here.
So disgusting.
Don't let him in your mouth!
It will change the face of horror.
They're doing things to people, turning them into some kind of monsters.
How's everybody's evening? Good? Good.
A meteorite crashes into the small town of Wilsey, South Carolina, and unleashes a plague of parasitic body-snatching slugs.
I love it. This film very nearly got like its own episode on the series, but I was like, you know what? There's too many as it is. Like, there's too many great ones as it is. So we've put it here. But it's a fun film, right? This one,
massively fun. As the film uses this analogy, and I think it's quite apt for the film itself, that it is a needle in a fuck stack.
Yeah.
The horror comedy is so hard to get right? Mm-hmm. How many have tried and failed? There are a few shining examples: Shaun of the Dead, Tucker and Dale versus Evil. But most of the time, you either glean one way or t'other. But I think the blend and tone of this film, although immature and puerile in certain areas, because that's James Gunn, it certainly was James Gunn back in 2006.
Yeah.
It's just really fun, and it's a really fun watch for horror fans as well, because there's so many nods and cameos and little kind of fun things that you can discover within the film if you look closely, because obviously the film shares quite a lot of similarities with The Blob and Night of the Creeps. It's got flecks of Shivers.
Yes.
It's got a touch of Uzumaki, the manga series, in its theme and tone. But then, the mayor's called MacReady.
Yeah, yeah.
They're watching Toxic Avenger, which is obviously an homage to Gunn's Troma roots. He obviously did Tromeo and Juliet. Lloyd Kaufman cameos in the police station.
Yes.
When she's on the phone with the doctor discussing her husband's illness, the doctor is Rob Zombie.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Amazing.
The school they go to is Earl Bassett High, which is the lead character from Tremors.
Nice.
There's the bar they go to is the Henalotter's Saddle Lodge, obviously from Basket Case and Brain Damage. They have a little Elm Street nod with a slug in a bathtub. So that's quite fun. And obviously the end is pure society.
Yes.
Esque in its shuntingly goodness.
Yes. Well, I do remember this. Like you said, it's got a great balance of comedy and horror in this, because it's a really fun, silly film, but it's also gross. I remember it being gross in places too.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, the cast is once again great. You've got Elizabeth Banks, you've got Nathan Fillion, you've got Michael Rooker, and obviously a lot of the people that he uses later on in his Guardians of the Galaxy and all those sort of films. But I think as a film that's kind of like a fun, campy, self-aware ride, I don't think you can really go wrong. Some of the stuff hasn't aged particularly well. There's some weird stuff with Michael Rooker's character where it's a bit weird and a bit creepy. But overall, I think it's certainly the first time I saw it, I was like, this film's been fucking made for me.
Yes.
That happens a lot, you know this, but this one was one that I was like, this just it's so rich in its love and affinity for the genre that I just think it withstands any scrutiny that you wish to put on it, and it is suitably gunky and gory and nasty.
Love it. Yeah, it's a great film. Definitely worth checking out for people. Is that available anywhere for people to check out?
Nah.
No.
DVD.
Buy yourself the DVD of it then.
It's on Music Magpie, 2 for £3. That's how I obtained it.
There you go. You can't go wrong. So that is that's James Gunn's Slither from 2006. Incredible. All right, Brad, where are we going next? Oh no, we're gonna wrap up with some of those invasion movies, right?
So in the category of invasion, I just want to give a few nods to a few other things that weren't good enough to make the list, or weren't fun enough or interesting enough to talk to, and that would be Dreamcatcher.
Yes, what a film.
Inseminoid. Gareth Edwards' Monsters in 2010. 2008's Splinter, where about a symbiotic parasitic black thing that invades a gas station. The Arrival with Charlie Sheen.
Oh, of course.
The Abyss, obviously James Cameron's The Abyss.
Yeah.
Doesn't unfortunately make the cut. I probably should say here as well, The Colour Out of Space.
Yeah, The Colour Out of Space, which again sort of nearly got its own episode, and then kind of I decided against it in the end.
Richard Stanley fucked it.
Richard Stanley fucked it. There's too many Alien movies. Richard Stanley fucked it. Sorry.
But, that does have Nicolas Cage, Cosmicolas Cage in it.
It does.
And, but we also, if people do want to hear us talk about that, we did cover that on LFF.
Exactly. There is a chat about that on our LFF 2019 episode.
At some point.
Knows, yeah.
We did it. At that point, I'll also shoehorn in Hardware, although it's not really an invasion movie, but, I've said it. There you go. It's said. Also, Invaders from Mars.
Oh, yeah.
They Look Like People.
Yeah.
From 2015. The Puppet Masters, which is a rip-off of Body Snatchers.
Oh, yeah.
With Donald Sutherland. That's available on Disney+.
Nice.
Abel Ferrara's Invasion of the Body Snatchers, just simply called Body Snatchers.
Yes.
From 93, which is actually really fun. I watched that last year. It's good stuff. The Invasion with Nicole Kidman and Daniel Craig.
Oh, yeah. Oof. Yep.
And the Skyline series.
Oh, of course. I've never seen any of these, but yes.
They're quite fun.
Yeah? Yeah.
Well, I think it's a really rare occurrence where I think the second one, Beyond Skyline, is better than the first one.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. All right. Good to know.
There you go. That's. I'm sure someone's going to moan and say, "Oh, what about?" And what I will say to you is, fucking do your own podcast if you want to talk about it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So there you go. There are millions of them, but those are our alien invasion movies. So next up, we're moving on to a new category, and this is abduction, right? Alien abduction?
Correct.
Oh, this is a good category. So what's our first recommendation here?
One and only recommendation in this particular category, because time is a factor, is 1993's Fire in the Sky.
Oh, yeah.
The story that Travis Walton and 5 other witnesses told was so unbelievable, so unimaginable, that it has become the most famous case of UFO abduction ever reported.
An Arizona logger disappears for 5 days after an encounter with a flying saucer in 1975. His co-workers are wrongly accused of his murder. Upon his return, the details of his horrific ordeal begin to unfold.
Love it. This is a good movie, right? This is a creepy, interesting movie.
So I'd say the first hour of the film is fairly procedural.
Mm-hmm.
It's not particularly, I think it's engaging, but it's not certainly breaking the mold. But that last half an hour,
yes.
Fuck me.
Yes. Yeah.
It is the most authentic and harrowing alien abduction scenes that I think have ever been filmed.
100%. It's brilliant.
It's amazing. Like as I say, the last half an hour feels like truly alien and like unlike anything that you someone, especially in '93, would have seen at the time. Like it's such a horribly, disgustingly horrifying experience, and everything just feels so wrong and oppressive and kind of. You kind of see everything in quick cuts and shimmers, and
yes,
it's terrifying. Like, and back at school, this was my Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If I explained that people of the 80s, when they went to school, it was all about Texas Chainsaw Massacre or the video nasties, but in my school, the film that was like, oh my god, have you seen? Was Fire in the Sky.
Amazing.
It was this film that had this lore and legend about it because some people in my school had seen it and they were describing it, and you didn't see it yourself, but you were almost scared of this film before even watching it. And it wasn't until I was in my late teens, early 20s that I actually did watch Fire in the Sky.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because I was so scared of what I was told as a kid about what it was, but it was like the stuff of lore. It was also Anne Rice's scariest film. Rest in peace, Anne.
Oh, man.
But she stated that this was the scariest film she'd ever seen.
Wow. There you go. That's incredible. And it's a really, like I said, it's a scary movie. I think, we're going to talk about a lot of fun, silly, schlocky alien movies. And this is certainly one of the scarier ones that's sort of played more straight, isn't it? I think,
Definitely. And I don't know, like, it just, that last half hour just sticks with you. Like, I was going to rewatch it to record this, but I watched it again last year on just because I wanted to. And I just felt like I can't be like, life's too short to put myself through that again.
Yeah, fair.
I'll just rewatch Critters 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just go back to Species. I love it. Yeah. So there you go. Fire in the Sky. And not enough people have seen this film still, I think. Where can people find it? Is it easy to seek out?
Nah, it's quite a toughie. So you can guarantee that in about 2 years' time, Second Sight will have a fucking deluxe Blu-ray coming out.
Like everything we discussed that is hard to get hold of. It's so true. Yeah.
But right now, it's a bit of a tough one to get hold of. But if you can seek it out, I can't recommend it high enough.
There's been like a running joke, hasn't there? Like, what are the films throughout the history of this podcast? Yes,
Lake Mungo.
9, Lake Mungo. These films that we've talked about on here that we've then gone, no one's seen it. It's really hard to get hold of. And then bam, a couple of years later, here it comes on some extraordinary new release. Yeah.
Now, Mike, you wouldn't be so gauche as to say that it's because of you. That's happened.
But you would be.
But I will say it. I've got no accountability. After this, I slink back to the shadows until you need me again.
So there you go. So that is Fire in the Sky. Incredible. Before we move on to our next category then, any other alien abduction movies you want to mention?
Certainly. We've got 2013's Dark Skies, which I remember really liking when I saw it in the cinema, and I rewatched it just on the off chance, just because I fancied it. And I watched it with my girlfriend. And when the alien lads popped up, I always like to measure how scared she is based on her reaction. Mm-hmm. When they popped up, she took her glasses off and threw them at the TV.
Amazing. That's an excellent reaction.
That's great. I also want to give a special shout out to Communion with Christopher Walken from the 1980s.
Oh, I've never seen this.
It's got an absolutely batshit Christopher Walken performance.
Amazing.
He's like, I'm cooking.
Love it.
And he's a writer that's kind of being visited by aliens. It's brilliant. It's really good. Okay. Shout out also to Eduardo Sanchez's Altered from 2006.
Yes.
I did rewatch that as well. It's not as good as I remember. Extraterrestrial by the Vicious Brothers, who did Grave Encounters.
Oh, cool. How's that? I don't think I've seen that.
It has its moments. There, a thoroughly reprehensible and detestable bunch of characters, but it's quite... For the budget, it looks good, and it's got some good sound design and good sort of lighting effects in it. Mm-hmm. But it's a solid kind of fun abduction, spooky movie. Yeah, think Grave Encounters, but make it aliens. Simple as that, really.
Nice.
Also, The Forgotten with Julianne Moore.
Yes, yeah, that was a really funny film that isn't an alien film, right? Until it becomes an alien abduction
and then it's
film.
Alien.
Yeah.
We'll stick that on the end, it's fun.
Yeah.
And finally, Honeymoon from 2014, Lee Janiak's Honeymoon. Adore that movie.
Oh my God.
And really wish we'd put it on the thing to talk about. But it's available on IMDb TV on the Prime extension and also on Arrow Player. And it is brilliant. It's so good.
I don't think I've seen this. This is good to know. So Lee Janiak, obviously, who's since become very famous for the Fear Street trilogy, right, this year, and is married to one of the blokes that created Stranger Things, I believe, as well. But yeah, interesting. I've never seen this, Honeymoon.
It's from 2014. A couple go to a remote cabin in the woods and weird shit happens.
Yeah.
It's fucking brilliant. It's really good. I saw it at Fright Fest. Back in 2014.
I'm just having a look now, and it stars Rose Leslie of Game of Thrones fame and everything else she's been in. Amazing.
I really recommend it.
Very cool. Love it. Well, there you go. So that is our alien abduction category. Next up, we've got a category here that you've named Captured on Tape. This is good. So is this kind of like found footage-y type movies?
Correct.
I love it. Love it. What's the next recommendation then?
In alphabetical or in numerical release order, I'd like to talk to you about the Mcpherson Tape.
Got him! He shot one of them dead. It's right outside there.
Are you sure it's not back there?
It's not back there. I just took a look in there.
Then get out.
On a typical autumnal evening in 1983, a family gathering celebrating a birthday is captured on tape for posterity and maybe for proof that aliens exist.
This is one of those very, almost like in the way that Black Christmas is now considered like, this is actually the first of its kind of thing. This is one of those kind of proto found footage movies, isn't it? I think, that's sort of getting recognition now. It's
definitely kind of had a revisionist take. It's I'll get this out of the way early. It is available to watch on Shudder.
There you go.
And it's under an hour long.
Yeah, love it.
So
love it.
Come on, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, can't go wrong.
Peasy. Now the thing that made this film so interesting which we'll get into in a bit in the plot and how things go, but it's the fact that the film was like rare because the master tape was destroyed in a fire shortly after being picked up from distribution. So the director began selling VHS bootlegs of his own film via email back in 2003.
Oh, I love it.
And people thought it was fucking real.
Well, that's it.
Because it didn't have the title credits or anything. It just had the footage.
I remember that. I remember that being a thing, that people thought it was real. And yeah, like it really did have that vibe of some found footage, didn't it? That's the thing. It's great.
Yeah, almost like a kind of like the way snuff is kind of fetishized, shall we say. Amongst UFO heads, this was like a big fucking thing and a big fucking deal. And he actually remade the film. Oh, right. And called it Alien Abduction, but then this film's also called Alien Abduction, but now they've that now call it the Mcpherson Tape, even though the family aren't called the Mcphersons, but they are in the remake.
It's very confusing.
Very confusing, but it's definitely one of these kind of like OG found footage films. It's so simple, it's so naturalistic, because the conversations, there is a lot of fucking mundanity. I'm thinking this is a shit party. Like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And then I definitely don't want to be here when the fucking aliens turn up.
Oh, so I love that you say it's a shit party. Isn't it like a 5-year-old's party?
It's a 5-year-old niece. His 5-year-old niece's party.
I don't want to be here. This is terrible.
It's shit. They don't want to be there.
You've got a nephew now, Brad. That's going to be you for the next few years.
Moaning.
First birthday party,
Shit party.
Second birthday party.
Shit party. Yeah. Hate it. Cocoa melon. Hate it. Fuck off. Don't care. Call me when this kid wants to talk about Vampire's Kiss. I'm not interested until then.
Exactly. Yeah, I was thinking, because I rewatched, obviously, for the podcast, Signs, and there's that moment in Signs, isn't there, that everyone says is the scariest moment, which is the found footage at the kid's birthday party where they see an alien, right? And
Just
it's like
strolling.
that's very Mcpherson Tapes-esque almost.
Yeah, it certainly feels like a nod, because I mean, this film, as I say, once again, criminally underseen, and Dean Aliotto, who made the film, he's done fuck all since, really. It is this kind of like rough gem. Like you're going to sit there, and if anyone does watch it based off my recommendation, they're going to be like, Brad, what the fuck did you say this for like the first half hour of an hour film? That you're going to be like, why did you say watch this? But I think the ending is genuinely pretty fucking terrifying, and for something that's obviously done on like an absolute shot on video, shoestring budget bullshit kind of. Yeah. You could do a lot worse.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's really interesting, and it's just really interesting if you're particularly interested in the sort of history of found footage movies in general as well. I think it's an important one, isn't it, in that regard? So there you go. I love it. So that's the Mcpherson Tape. So you said we can get that on Shudder, right?
Correct.
Love it. All right, what's next in our found footage category?
Now, at the beginning of the episode, you said 10 recommendations.
Yeah.
I would like to say that there are 9. Because I do not recommend this film.
Right, I'm so glad, because I was about to go into, this is a terrible film. But I'm glad you feel the same way.
I don't know why we picked it to talk about.
I don't know either.
You were the one that said it, to be fair. I've got the receipts to say, we should cover this.
Shit, did I say that?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I very nearly covered this like in an episode.
Oh, fuck.
I know, and then I realised how terrible it was. So anyway, you introduce the film and then we'll talk about it.
I wouldn't like to talk about 2009's The Fourth Kind Sucks.
I am actress Mila Jovovich, and I will be portraying Dr. Abigail Tyler. This film is a dramatization of events that occurred October 2000. Every scene in this movie is supported by archived footage. Some of what you're about to see is extremely disturbing.
Oh my god, the fourth. Yes, so originally, right, I was covering Cloverfield with Adam Robinson, and we were like, oh, would there be another good kind of modern 21st century found footage or mockumentary style alien film? And I was like, well, there is The Fourth Kind, but I don't remember that being particularly good. And anyway, we decided against that in the end. Yeah, because it's not very good,
and
right?
Here I am, dredging through the scraps as usual.
I was like, I'll leave it to Brad.
Yeah. So, The Fourth Kind is directed by Olatunde Onsen-Sami and starring Mila Jovovich, Elias Kotas, aka Poundland Robert De Niro, and Will Patton. People in Nome, Alaska have been habitually going missing since the 1960s. Dr. Abigail Tyler may be on the verge of discovering the truth behind these disappearances as she begins taping her therapy sessions with several residents. all experiencing visitations from an owl-like creature.
Oh, this film is so lame. And I will say, though, to be fair to it, a lot of people, or maybe it's the same one person that keeps writing to me, but I'm getting multiple messages about why haven't you covered The Fourth Kind? Will you cover The Fourth Kind? Like, I think this movie has some fans, but I don't really understand why.
Maybe it's the director.
Yeah. All I remember is this is the movie where at the beginning Mila Jovovich goes, "Hello, I'm Mila Jovovich." Yeah, it's like, what is this? And it's got this stupid device, right, where it's like, we are playing ourselves because what you're about to see is a reconstruction of us playing other people. Blah 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 blah.
But don't worry, we have the original footage. There isn't original footage. It's fucking made up.
Yeah, it's not very good. It's not very good.
So The Fourth Kind is obviously a reference to a scientist called J. Allen Hynek who sort of categorized alien sightings. And he says that kind of, an encounter of the first kind, and then when the evidence is collected, it's the second kind. When contact is made with extraterrestrials, it's the third kind, e.g. close encounters of the third kind. And the fourth kind is abduction. So it should really go in abduction, but then that fucks my categories.
No, but I think you're right. I think you're right to put it here because it very much, its thing, right, was that like, ooh, this is real footage you're seeing or reconstructed footage of what really happened, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
To be fair, there are actually a lot of disappearances in Nome, Alaska, and that is an absolute slap in the face to the families that are actually dealing with actual trauma of losing loved ones.
Yeah, that's a very good
point.
It's
pretty tasteless.
Yeah.
The one positive that I will say about the film is that some of the found footage recreations of the original incidents are quite uneasy, uncanny, unnerving, bit weird, like the screams where their faces kind of stretch out.
Right.
And there's a bit where he levitates off a bed and stuff. That stuff's kind of cool. Like, it looks decent, but don't frame it as this like, hello, we're about to take you on a journey of truth and discovery.
So there you go. Well, that's the foot. But if anyone does want to check it out,
it's
Brad,
on Netflix.
Can they? It's on Netflix. There you go. If you just really love this kind of stuff, or if you love Mila Jovovich, just check it out. That's The Fourth Kind from 2009. Anything else from our found footage category before we move on?
I would obviously be remiss if I didn't mention the original Moon's Haunted Apollo 18.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like it, not gonna lie. It's like not brilliant, but it's kind of fun. And it just reminds me of that thing where that joke or that tweet joke that came back where it was like astronaut returning early from a mission. And okay, you guys are back early. And he says, Moon's haunted. And the guy says, what? And it says, cocking a gun, getting back in the spaceship. Moon's haunted.
Yes.
Good stuff. I'd also mention Alien Abduction. Just called Alien Abduction. It's available on IMDb TV, which is on Prime. Also Area 51 and The Pyramid from 2013.
Starring James Buckley of The Inbetweeners fame.
Yeah.
I interviewed James Buckley for this film for some fucking reason for the BBC. It wasn't a very good film.
No, it's not good. But I mentioned it. So they can shut up.
What? I do not remember it even having aliens at all. I remember it's a found footage film inside a pyramid.
Yeah, but it turns out it's all alien shit. Because a lot of people hypothesize that the pyramids are there because aliens put them there.
Right. A little bit like Alien versus Predator. The story of that is kind of similar, right? Yeah.
Correct.
There you go.
So yeah, I mean that exists. That's a thing.
That's a film. There we go. All right, what is our next category?
It's called Off-World.
Oh, I love it. So we're actually going outside of the Earth into the cosmos.
We are going into the cosmos, to the far reaches, and breaking the grasp of man's domain, or whatever the fuck they say. Some Star Trek shit, probably. Just the one film we're going to shine a spotlight on.
Oh my god! But it's the only
what a
one.
picture!
It's the masterpiece of this episode. I think, right?
I think it's the centerpiece.
It's the centerpiece.
It's absolutely fucking phenomenal. It's not really a horror. I don't care. It's Starship fucking Troopers from 1997.
In every age, there is a cause worth fighting for. But in the future, the greatest threat to our survival will not be man at all.
Buenos Aires hometown boy Johnny Rico joins the mobile infantry. Rico's military career progresses from recruit to non-commissioned officer to finally officer against the backdrop of an interstellar war between mankind and an arachnoid species known as the bugs.
Oh, the bugs. So you're a fan, I take it, Brad?
Fuck yes. From day one, OG. This film got absolutely flogged in the critical sense when it came out. It bombed at the box office.
It did.
But much like a lot of Verhoeven's work, time has been massively kind and people have got onto his level and realised that this entire film is a massive critique of militarism, fascism, violent nationalism and propaganda.
It's a brilliant satire, right? It's really good satire, really smart. Yeah, and you're right. Like this was his first, I believe, his follow up to Showgirls, right? The ultimate, the most notorious flop of all time, which has also been reassessed probably quite a lot in recent years, right? But this was his follow up to Showgirls. And yeah, I remember at the time, because this was when I was getting into film and reading about film, and I think I was reading Empire or Total Film or something, and even at that point, they were giving it an absolute panning. Like, they said it was terrible.
But they're so wrong.
Yeah, it's so much fun. It's so much fun, and it's so much smarter than people gave it credit for.
Yeah, and I mean, this happens a lot with Verhoeven's work, where, you know, I think we talked about this when we did LFF, actually. Mm-hmm. Did we do LFF? Am I going mad?
No, we did. We did.
That's when I last
with Louise. Oh no, we didn't do it with Louise. We nearly did it with Louise.
We were supposed to do it with Louise, and then we didn't.
Yeah.
But we talked about Benedetta.
Yes, which I loved.
Although that's had a lot more glowing reviews now.
Yes.
I think that's only going to age better with time because all his films do. I can't think of a film he's made where it hasn't got better with time. And this, you look at sort of where we are now as a society and a country and a nation and a world, and it's getting closer and closer to this kind of realised fucking totalitarianism fucking bullshit identity. You know, the us versus them, the Brexit ideals. I don't want to get too political because you will get complaints.
Yeah, I will.
But I mean, this is all based on a book by Robert A. Heinlein. And the book itself is right-wing as fuck.
Is it? I didn't know that.
So Verhoeven tried to read it and was like, fuck this. So he asked someone to explain it to him instead. And the whole book is this kind of like right-wing propagandist novel.
Right.
And they said, like, Verhoeven, like, why are you making this based off this source novel? And he was like, I can't tell people that all this stuff is bad. I just have to show it to them and tell them this all leads to us just fighting stupid bugs in space. And the entire collapse of society and civilization. You know, he couldn't show... You know, because if you look at Buenos Aires and the kind of stuff you see on planet, it's beautifully clean, shiny, bright. Everyone's Aryan or Aryan-esque. Mm-hmm. And it's basically just kind of, you know, that in itself is a satire. Like, yeah, you build a perfect society, but it's fucked because you're now fighting space bugs that you pissed off.
Yeah. There you go. Well, what a film. I'm sure probably most people listening have seen Starship Troopers, but if you haven't, give yourself an absolute treat, right? Because what a film.
I mean, great cast. Casper Van Dien. I mean, all the charisma of a bar of soap, but Jake Busey. Also, the lady that plays Diz is a queen. Like, she's amazing. But like, it's just really weird, like a co-ed shower scene. Like for no reason. Did you hear? There's a behind the scenes thing about that. All the cast were like, "Oh, I'm not too happy about doing this," and Verhoeven was like, "What's the problem?" And she was like, "If it's not a problem, then Paul, why don't you get naked?" And he went, "All right."
I love him. He's so Dutch. He's so Dutch.
He don't give a fuck.
He's amazing. I've probably told you this story already, but when I interviewed him, he went on this massive rant about how much he hates modern cinema because in modern cinema, in every sex scene he sees, women keep their bras on. And he's like, why would they keep their bra on? Women don't even like bras. Take the bras off. And he got really angry about it. I love him.
I can't fault his logic.
Exactly. So there you go. Where can people find Starship Troopers, Brad?
It's available on Disney Plus.
Oh, there you go. That's the world we live in now. You can find Starship Troopers on Disney Plus. And unbelievably, this is the only movie in your cosmos off-world category, right? That we're gonna talk about. But you've got some other titles to list off briefly.
Correct. Now, as usual, I've been a bit liberal, and a lot of these things could go into other categories and bits and pieces. But you're going to say, "Oh, this belongs here and that belongs there," to which I would respond, "Shut the fuck up." So, we've got Life with Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds.
Actually, a really fun film. I quite enjoy this. Like, I remember going to see it at a press screening and thinking, "Oh, here we go. It's going to be a terrible rip-off of Alien." And it is a rip-off of Alien, but it's actually quite fun. I quite liked it.
Yeah, and it felt like an unofficial Cloverfield sequel.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's available on Amazon Prime. Sputnik from a couple of years ago. Russian movie. Woman comes back from space with a parasitic... It's almost like Venom. Like a little parasitic alien lad living inside her. And he comes out, and I watched it during lockdown, and I thought I'd kill to have him right now because I'm bored.
Little friend.
I'm bored. Come out, mate. Come on. Let's go and eat some people. Fuck it.
Love it.
Galaxy of Terror. Planet of the Vampires, which should be covered in your next series, but it is an alien movie, I promise you.
I love this. I've not heard of this unless this... Well, this sounds
it's a Barber movie.
Oh, have I talked about this on the... Like, I'm just thinking this might have been one of the films that Kevin Lyons might have mentioned when we talked about some of the old school vampire films.
Yeah, well, I thought I had to get a couple of old school ones in, because otherwise they're going to be like... You know, they're going to be on me again, aren't they?
They'll be on you. There's a surprising amount of vampire-alien crossover. It's like Plan 9 from Outer Space and that whole kind of school of movies from back then. There was a lot of kind of vampires from space type movies.
Yeah, because they suck. Also, Pandora with Dennis Quaid and Ben Foster.
Oh, God, yeah. This is not a good film, actually. I watched this really recently because I was a guest on the Journey Through Sci-Fi podcast and we talked about Pandora alongside Event Horizon. And I was not a fan of Pandora. I couldn't make sense of it.
I rewatched it last night because I just bought the DVD. So I just bought, I kept posting this. I just bought loads of them, just like, fuck it. Yeah. And I remember watching Pandora and thinking, whiff. Yeah. And then I watched it again last night and I called it Damn Boredom.
It's really boring.
Boring as fuck.
It's really incoherent as well. Like I couldn't make heads or tails of what was happening, and not in a good way.
The editor was on speed or something.
Yes.
Like it's all over the place.
Yeah.
But it is quite Lovecraftian and kind of cosmic in you know what's happening in kind of this tribalist populist living. And
it is.
Identities all split and stuff, but
that's it. And I think that's why I discussed it alongside Event Horizon on this podcast. But it is not Event Horizon.
No, because Event Horizon fucking rules.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
Also, obviously, shout out to Sunshine, Danny Boyle's Sunshine.
Oh my god, yeah. Another film that I maybe should have given a bit more time to, but you know, again, there are too many. Sunshine is really good. For a lot of people, I think Sunshine actually goes downhill when it turns into sort of slasher mayhem in the last 20 minutes and is better when it's big and existential and cosmic in its kind of first hour, you know. But it's kind of interesting. It's fun.
Also, the Dead Space video game got an animated film called Downfall.
Oh, okay.
It's available to watch on IMDb TV.
Nice.
And kind of fun. And also a film called Europa Report from 2013, I think with Sharto Copley.
Oh, nice.
I think that's found footage as well. But I decided to put it in here because Off-World was looking pretty slim. Also, special shout out, not technically Off-World, but he does go Off-World, to Flight of the Navigator.
Yes! My childhood favourite. I'm so glad you mentioned this. I mean,
I had to.
Not really a horror, but having said that,
it scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Yes, it's absolutely. In that kind of like 80s Amblin way, it's quite dark in its themes, considering it's for kids, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And like there's a scene I think where he's leaning in to look at this kind of like, it looks like a boglin. Remember boglins?
I know exactly what you mean.
And he eats his hat.
Yes.
Scared the fucking shit out of me as a kid.
And it really does look like a boglin, you're right. And the thing, what's it called? Max? The computer thing with the annoying voice.
Yeah.
It goes, that could have been your head.
That could have been your head, David.
So I'd be remiss if we didn't mention Flight of the Navigator.
I love it. So there you go. That's our off-world category. Incredible. What's next? We're moving on to our next category. What's next, Brad?
since retitled this since I sent you the list. It's now called New Discoveries.
Oh, very good. Very good. Very, very in keeping with the theme.
So we're going to talk about 2019's. This is all new discoveries. This is all films that came out in the last few years. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about the kind of the new school, the new thought of alien and cosmic horror. Mm-hmm. And firstly, we're going to talk about an absolute stone cold banger from 2019, available on Amazon Prime. It's called The Vast of Night.
718 here, WOTW. We got a sound we'd like to play that seems to be bouncing around the valley tonight.
Yes, I have a story that might be helpful.
I can tell you what's going on.
The sound we heard out in the desert, it was coming from thousands of feet higher than anything could climb.
They've come here before. They've liked this place. They always have.
Absolutely loved this film so much. I think I might have done an episode on it on Patreon even.
I believe you did.
With Rihanna, I believe, but we both absolutely loved this movie. Brad, tell us a little bit about The Vast of Night.
One night in New Mexico in the 1950s, a switchboard operator and a radio DJ discover a strange audio frequency which could change the future forever.
This is one of those really weird, unique movies that, like, you know, it kind of felt like nothing else in some ways, even though it's super nostalgic, right? It's kind of very much an homage to that 50s Twilight Zone kind of old school sci-fi horror story, isn't it? But some amazing flourishes.
Massively so. I mean, there's some amazingly long tracking shots and you know, retained shots that... So one of them runs on for 9 minutes. Like, it's madness.
Yes.
And the whole film is shot so beautifully. And this was directed by a guy called Andrew Patterson. He did it like a short film beforehand. He hasn't done anything since because obviously this is quite a new release of a film. But my God, this is a guy to keep an eye out for in the future, because in terms of like capturing a mood and a tone, this film is... I want to live in this film.
Agreed. I loved it so much. And yeah, you're right. It's like a weird mix of incredible feats of camera work where, yeah, there's like super long takes. There's one really famous shot right now, already famous, where we go from basically like one end of this town to the other in one continuous shot. And then there are these, and then on the other side of the coin, there are loads of just very static shots, right, where it's just people talking on phones or listening to noises on radios, and it's like very, very still and very quiet. It's so good. And also the dialogue's amazing as well. There's a lot of like really super fast-paced dialogue between characters as they're walking around and doing stuff. It's so good.
Yeah, it's like His Girl Friday-esque, like, what am I? What a buffalo?
Yeah, exactly. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And yeah, like, I don't know, how much of a horror would you call this film? I think there's definitely like a sense of dread and unease, you know, throughout, even if it's not trying to be pure horror.
Definitely. And I love it. There's this brilliant nods, like the radio station he works for is WOTW, War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
They keep mentioning a town over called Santa Mira. That's where they originally happened in Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
Their town is called Kaguya, which is the name of the production company which produced The Twilight Zone. Obviously, the very opening of the film is a massive Twilight Zone kind of homage.
And I wonder whether we're going to see more. Well, this is what I really hope, because I remember it has this framing device, right, where we go into an old school television and then we come out of the television at the end like we're seeing an episode of something. And I'd really love if this was like the first of a sort of anthology series of old school sci-fi stories or something like that. I mean, who knows if that's the case, but I loved it.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. And it was something that just came out of nowhere, just got plonked on Prime one day.
Yeah.
I thought, I'll take a little look at this.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal. Like I say, I rewatched it a couple of weeks ago, and I was just like, the entire vibe of this film is just cool. Like, it's just really cool film. Really cool. Really like it.
Love it. So there you go. So that's The Vast of Night. You can still find that on Amazon Prime. Absolutely check it out. Next, Brad, what's next?
We're going to talk about a film from 2020, which you and I saw and covered very briefly, sort of. Yes. The Block Island Sound.
Something's wrong. Something with the island. You know it. I know it. I want to get to the bottom of it.
You got to get him away from there. Pretty soon, someone's going to end up hurt.
Emily, listen to me. It's only going to get worse.
Somebody's going to end up dead. You hear me? Harry!
Get me out of here. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. Oh, no.
I don't think I have seen this.
No, you haven't. So
Yeah.
this is Fantasia 2020.
That's right, and I really should have watched this because you massively recommended it, and I've heard a lot of people recommend it, and I still haven't gotten a chance to see it yet.
Well, it's on fucking Netflix. You've got no excuse.
I really don't. But yeah, tell us a little bit about this.
Okay, so it's directed by the McManus brothers. Something lurks off the coast of the Block Island, silently influencing the behaviour of fisherman Tom Lynch. After suffering a series of violent outbursts, he unknowingly puts his family in grave danger. So when I first saw this film, I believe I called it like a Lovecraftian siren's call to the sea.
Yes.
It sort of follows his family as the patriarch of the family. His sort of memories dwindling. He's acting strangely. They go to visit him, and inevitably he disappears and is lost at sea. The son then starts experiencing the same kind of siren-esque call where he keeps blacking out and waking up on the boat. The boat's in disarray and he can't work out what's happening. It leads us to this kind of beautiful finale. I think when I described it to you when we were talking about it for Fantasia was a lot of films fuck the ending, right? That's what I do. This film does not at all. It gives a satisfyingly kind of down bleak, somber, almost it's definitely got some kind of like ecological kind of we talk about ecological horror now. It's definitely got those kind of inflections towards it, but it's got some amazing sound design, some amazing camera work. It's just a genuinely like thoroughly brilliant film that not a lot of people have seen, even despite me screaming from your patient zero for this.
Yeah.
Screaming from the rooftops that people should check out the Block Island sound. I still don't think enough people have seen it, so I really wanted to give it another opportunity here on the main pod just to be like, please, I implore you, watch the Block Island sound. It's really worth your time.
Oh, and I promise I'm going to try and watch it over the Christmas break because it does sound absolutely my kind of thing as well. I remember you saying it had a bit of a kind of Benson and Moorhead-esque vibe to it as well, right?
Absolutely,
which I love. That's like catnip to me. And like you say, it's on Netflix, right? So there's no excuse for people not to check it out.
Exactly.
I love it. So there you go. So that's the Block Island sound from 2020. This is a good category. Lots of recent gems. What else are you going to mention in this category?
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Sea Fever, the Irish film from last year. That's really good. The Beach House, a romantic getaway for two troubled college sweethearts turns into a struggle for survival when an unexpected guest and the surrounding environment exhibit signs of a mysterious infection.
Something about this rings a bell, but I haven't seen it. Maybe I've just seen of it.
Yeah, it was doing the rounds a couple of years ago. It's good.
Yeah.
Also, of course, I've got to mention Psycho Goreman.
Oh, Psycho Goreman, which unbelievably, was that this year?
I think it was last year.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, because like that, it feels like a long time now since I've seen it, but I can't tell.
I do not care for hunky boys, or do I?
Yeah, this is great, isn't it? It's got that real kind of... well, basically, it feels like an episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, doesn't it?
Demented Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, yeah. It's absolutely brilliant. Loved it. Similarly demented is Fried Barry.
Oh, yeah. I've not had a chance to see this yet, but I've heard good things.
It's good fun. South African abduction film. Both of these I just mentioned, Gorman and Barry, are both available on Shudder. But it's fun. It's like Crank meets like The Greasy Strangler.
Right.
Like, it's fucking weird, but like it's good. It's good fun.
Love it. Love it.
And then I'm going to kind of chop and change these around. I also want to mention The Void.
Yes.
From 2016. More towards the cosmic horror.
Of course. Yeah. Another film, actually, that a lot of people have written in and said, why the hell haven't you covered The Void?
Well, here it is.
Here it is.
I love The Void. Really, really like it. That kind of... they're kind of caught up in this almost cultist trap, and it's very Event Horizon kind of esque in the way that they're opening up sort of a gate or portal to hell.
Yeah, I remember amazing imagery from this, and it really was like a proper homage to sort of 80s sort of Fulci, Carpenter and other stuff, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, Prince of Darkness, this kind of stuff. Like it's got a proper evil vibe to it. Does it fall? That falls more on the side of cosmic horror, I would say, than into whatever. But I loved it, and it had to get mentioned. So, and then I just want to mention a couple that are really not horror. but are sci-fi and brilliant.
Yeah,
they are Aniara.
Oh yeah, which I've heard amazing stuff about. Still haven't seen it yet. Can't wait.
Absolute kick in the dick film.
Yeah,
like, bleak and brutal as fuck. Really good. Think like the ship from WALL-E.
Yeah,
but if it was captained by Lars von Trier.
Oh my god. Okay,
it's really good.
Great.
And an absolute gem, very much in the Moorhead and Benson sort of school of thought. Coherence.
Yeah, I am trying to remember whether I've seen this. I'm just looking it up because this sounds very familiar to me, but I'm not sure.
Brilliant. If you've got any doubt that you don't know if you've seen it, then you haven't seen it.
Okay,
it's as simple as that. It's brilliant. It's so good. I think it's got one of the guys from Buffy or.
Oh yeah, it does. Nicholas Brendan from Buffy. Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's sort of a dinner party. It's like The Invitation, sort of.
Oh, okay.
In terms of I know how much you love uncomfortable dinner parties.
I love dinner party horror. Yes.
So this is one where there's a solar flare or solar eclipse over their house, and it actually opens up kind of like multiple dimensions.
Oh.
So that they keep going to like houses for help, but it's their own house, like a block away. It's brilliant. It's one of these really clever, like smart, economical, kind of low budget sci-fis that has really small means but a massive concept that not only does it try to explore with these limited resources, but actually delivers on like a massive scale.
Oh, I love that.
Thoroughly brilliant.
That is my favourite type of movie. I'm definitely going to check that out. Coherence. Okay.
It's available on Amazon Prime.
Oh, amazing.
So is The Void as well, by the way.
Yes. Oh man, too many good films. There's been a lot of good ones in recent years.
New Discoveries has been though I could have added more to it, but I tried to.
Yeah,
I'm trying to keep it succinct.
We've done very well. We've only been going an hour. This is going very well. All right, next up, this is our last big category, I believe. Is it?
This is it. It is now titled Strange Life Forms.
Excellent.
This is stuff that is more creature feature based, shall we say. I know at some point there were certain films that I wanted to put into this that I think I would rather save for when you do monsters.
Yep.
But this is sci-fi tinge to a certain degree, strange films. So both either creature features or films who are just like, what the fuck is this? Like,
where does this go?
this don't live anywhere.
Yeah.
So now it lives here.
Good.
Is basically how this has gone. And to start off, to tempo Strange Life Forms, it would be rude not to mention possibly one of the biggest alien franchises of the 80s. Mm-hmm. It's Critters.
Hey!
Of all the planets in the galaxy, they chose ours. They hide in small places.
This phone is dead.
What?
They light the dark.
Jay, any luck?
Just a minute.
There's nothing cute about them. They've come a long way, and they're hungry.
A group of small but vicious alien creatures called Krites escaped from an alien prison transport vessel and landed at the small farm town of Grover's Bend, pursued by two shape-shifting bounty hunters.
I love it. Are you a fan of Critters?
1 and 2, unequivocally, yes.
Mm-hmm.
3 and 4, and Critters Attack? Nah.
Oh, God, Critters Attack. That was at Fright Fest recently.
All about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you forgot all about that, didn't you?
That was pretty bad.
Yeah, dog shit.
Yeah.
Dog shit.
This was very much cashing in on the kind of Gremlins craze, wasn't it, I think, as well?
Funny you should say that. One of my notes says, thought as a Gremlins ripoff, but the script existed prior to Gremlins.
Oh my God. Well, I stand corrected. There you go. I love it. So it's just one of those weird pairings like Deep Impact and Armageddon or something.
It just happens, you know.
It just happened.
It just happens from time to time. 2012 and the day after tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, man, come on. Like, who could not love rabid little hedgehog-inspired bastard creatures that have their own language? That is, I tweeted out about it when I rewatched the first one. There is a scene in the first Critters that I genuinely think is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
What is it? I want to know what it is now.
There's a bit where they're attacking the farmhouse and one critter turns to the other in its little language, which is based on Japanese and French, if you're wondering, and says, they have weapons. And then the other critter says, so what? And then a shotgun emerges from the door, blows up the one that says so what, and the other one just goes, fuck.
Incredible. Yeah, it's such a fun film, isn't it? A really good balance of humour with the horror as well, because they are vicious little bastards as well.
Well, you say that, but in the first Critters film, there's only two people get killed. Everyone else just gets injured. Unfortunately, one of the two is Billy Zane. Sorry about that, Billy. But it stars Dee Wallace, which I think is a massive coup. 4 years after Alien.
Yeah.
Not Alien, E.T. And M. Emmett Walsh, and the two bounty hunters. One of the guys also is a pop star, and he sung "Power Up the Night." It's a burning power. If you want to cut that out and just put the actual song on,
I'll have both. But thank you.
Great. Puppetry was made by the Chiodo brothers, who Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Thank you very much. Which I thought was a banker for me this year. Before your plan came out,
I was
like, that's mine.
Can you believe it? A B movie, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I said to Jen Handorf, come and talk about Ridley Scott's Alien. And she said, okay, great. Can I also talk about Killer Clowns from Outer Space? I was like, oh, sure.
I was thinking, as soon as you mentioned the series, like you do with every series, I'm like, right.
Right, what have I got?
What's mine? And Stevie took one of them.
Oh, Extra.
Why is he taking Extra? For fuck's sake.
Yeah, but you know that he'll do the Extra sequels on Brain Rot, and you can probably go on there for that and join him for those.
I've done my time on the House series, haven't I? I'm gone for a bit.
Never again.
He didn't get a very good guess out of me. Every episode I was like, they're shit.
They're terrible.
Don't like them. But there's some good stuff. They find an E.T. doll and eat it in the first one. The second one, directed by Mick Garris, is fun. There's a massive critter ball which engulfs people. It's a lot more violent, a lot more bodies. In the first one, it's mainly they mainly kill chickens.
Right. Yeah.
And only 2 actual people. And then the third one, we got Leo DiCap.
Of course.
Feature film debut.
Yes.
And then Critters 4 in space.
Of course.
They finally took him to space. But yeah, and then obviously Critters Attack. And I believe they're working on a Critters TV show, sort of the way Chucky's just gone with the Chucky series, which I've just done all 8 episodes in the last 24 hours.
Oh, wow. What did you think, by the way?
It's good.
Yeah, it's quite fun, isn't it?
Yeah, I liked it. I haven't had a chance to listen to you and Josh on it yet, but nice little plug there.
It's good. Yeah, exactly. Thanks for that. Yeah, it's good fun. It was a shame about Critters Attack, wasn't it? Because I was really excited for this a couple of years ago at Fright Fest, and I sort of hoped it was going to be Puppet Master Littlest Reich level of kind of mayhem and carnage, but it wasn't quite that.
Yeah, it was just a naff creature feature. It didn't even need to be the critter. It might as well be Zombievers too.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just I just remember it being completely devoid of any character, and the whole thing about these Critters films is they're all kind of fun and silly, even the shit ones.
Yes.
I believe it. The tagline for the fourth one is in space no one can smell rotten eggs or something.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And they got sort of camper and sillier as they went on, and they as they tried to be more funny, they got less funny.
Right, exactly. You know what I mean? As they become more aware of what they are and push it further. Yeah.
But the first 2, I think, are genuinely really fun, and also very rare that number 2 is one of the only Easter-themed horror films of all time.
Oh, there you go. That's a good bit of trivia, isn't it? Because it's true. We don't have enough Easter horror films.
There's those bunny men
The Passion of Christ.
That's quite rough. Torture porn.
Yeah.
And there's the Bunny Man Massacre films, or whatever. There's probably something Zobo watches or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of Easter-based stuff. But Critters 2 is Easter themed, so one to watch in April to celebrate Christ's rebirth.
There you go. Perfect. So there you go. So that is The Incredible Critters. Can anyone stream the original Critters anywhere at the moment?
No, I had to take it on the chin and buy the collector's edition set thing.
Oh, nice. Oh, you can get the whole set?
Yeah. Nice. You can get it on Blu-ray or DVD. I cheaped out and got the DVD version because you know what I mean.
Well, it's only critters.
I don't get reimbursed for these, so I can't put them on my tax return either, so I just have to take it on the chin. I thought, I don't need to see them in high def quality. Like,
no one needs that, I think, with the Critters films. That's fine.
But they're fun enough.
They're good. They're really, really fun. So there you go. So that's Critters. What's next?
We're going to talk about 2012's Grabbers.
It's always the quiet places where the mad shit happens.
They're pilot whales. They died at sea.
I call myself a sea monster.
This is something totally different. Something alien.
You don't believe me? Not a bit.
Do you know what? To my shame, I've still never seen Grabbers.
Surprises me, Michael.
I know. Can you believe?
Available on IMDb TV. Free extension on Prime. No, excuse, you have to watch ads. I should add.
Yes, you do. Yes,
it's fucking annoying.
It's really annoying. Yeah.
Whatever. It's directed by John Wright. When an island off the coast of Ireland is invaded by blood-sucking aliens, the heroes discover that getting drunk is the only way to survive.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard this is a classic. I've just one of those movies that's always evaded me. I've never got around to watching it, but are you a fan?
Yeah, I really liked it. Like, I remember watching it when it first came out, and I was a bit nonplussed with it. But I think the humor balance is quite. The horror element, not so much. Like, there's not a lot going on there. But from a humor perspective, I mean, any excuse for me to get ripshit drunk, I'm on board with.
Yes.
So if it's to save my life, even better.
Perfect.
But yeah, it's kind of sweet. It's kind of charming. It's got some funny bits. There's some great references to like Aliens and Predator. You know, they do the whole, what are you waiting for? Kill me now. Do it.
Yeah.
And there's a good scene with Russell Tovey when he's really drunk trying to like take photos of them. That's really funny. But it's just like a sweet, fun. I kind of always like that kind of Irish sensibility of comedy. You know, films like The Guard and In Bruges and that kind of stuff that have that kind of real sort of black and kind of feckless approach to life, shall we say. And this is kind of similar. You know, they live in this fucking bumfuck town and just fucking hate it there. But what could make it more exciting / worse? Big, giant, grabby monsters, Tremor-esque monsters.
Right, I've seen, there's a quote here that says it's Tremors meets With Nail and I, which to me, actually, that's
pretty
good.
I should have just said that. I should have stolen that. Oh, well.
I love it. So there you go. So that's Grabbers. Can anyone find Grabbers to stream?
IMDb TV.
Oh yes, IMDb TV. Yeah, you mentioned. Amazing. IMDb. Yeah, it's a weird thing, right? This is quite a new thing, is it? IMDb TV.
Yeah, it seems to be almost like jumping off the back of now. I'm sure some people are going to be aware of this. A web app or whatever called Plex. They've been doing for quite a while a lot of free films that you can watch and stream for free with these stupid ads. And they've actually got some quite interesting stuff on there, like Don't Answer the Phone and Sorority House Massacre and just Without Warning and all this other sort of mad stuff. And you just have to put like 5 ads during it. But IMDb TV just sort of came out of nowhere like 2 months ago, and I was like, cheers. There's a lot. How many times have I said it in this? Like, quite a lot.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Gives you a chance to go and have a toilet break, refill your drink, in the end.
Yeah, unless you want to know about, Neutrogena revitalizing facial skincare.
Sure. Why not?
It's up to you. I don't care. I'm not here to judge you. Look at half the shit I watch.
However you want to spend your time. That's
Whatever.
fine.
Who cares?
So there you go. So that's Grabbers. I love it. So we've got Critters and Grabbers there from the... What did you call this category again?
Strange Life Forms.
I love it. Strange Life Forms. So what other titles are you going to reel off from Strange Life Forms?
Strap yourselves in. This is long and weird.
Excellent.
I'd like to mention Night Beast. From the early 80s was I think it was caught up in the video nasties turmoil, but it's absolute dog shit, but good fun. A film called God Told Me To ... Kill, which is some guy goes on a killing rampage, but aliens have been to do it. There's a slasher film called Without Warning, which is a shot on video, but it's got like 2 I've got to remember who it is. Off the top of my head, I can't remember them. It's got 2 massive actors, and basically their salary took up like 60% of the film's total budget. This is a proper brain rot type film. But who's it got? I think it's Jack Palance and Martin Landau.
Oh my god! Wow.
And it's an alien slasher movie. It's a bit Predator-esque, but it's from 1980, so it predates it. But it's got a very Predator thing, and it's absolute dog shit. But it's fun. It's funny. It's fun because it's shit. That's available on Prime. A film called Terravision from 1980.
Oh yeah, I went on strong language, violent scenes to talk about this film.
Yeah,
this is a ridiculous film, but really fun.
That's aliens, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I enjoyed that. It's like proper kind of mad, almost like sort of sitcom or soap opera, but with these kind of aliens. It's great. It's really fun.
Yeah, really, really good fun. Also, a film from 1979 called The Visitor, which friend of the pod / hasn't actually been on an episode. Jim will paint it.
Oh, we love Jim will paint it. Yeah.
What a boy. He tweeted me and was like, "Can you please talk about this coked up fever dream?"
Ooh.
So here you go. The Visitor, I've said it now. So that's the end of that.
Stars Lance Henriksen and Shelley Winters.
It's mad, this film.
Oh.
I think it used to be available on Shudder, but I don't think it's on there anymore. The soul of a young girl with telekinetic powers becomes a prize in a fight between the forces of God and the devil.
Oh, this sounds great.
Mad Italian cosmic weirdness, basically.
Yeah.
So I had to mention that.
Oh, I'm going to check this out.
I also should mention Cozzy's Contamination, which is the most egregious rip-off of Alien you have ever seen in your fucking life. Up to the eggs and stuff. Like this is one of the only times when someone does not want. You shouldn't accept an egg in a trying time. It's nice that it's always sunny and.
Right, okay. I was like, I didn't know what that was a reference to, and I was like, that's a weird thing for Brad to say. Okay.
No, it's an always sunny reference for you there, guys. Yeah, can I offer you an egg in this trying time? Not if it's one of these eggs. It's like hyper gory, hyper violent Italian splatter cinema. I think Fulci does Aliens, but it's a guy called Cozzy. It's not very good.
Okay.
But it's fun. It's available on Prime. I want to mention Creature. I want to mention Progeny by Brian Yuzna.
Oh, always worth mentioning Brian Yuzna. Yeah,
he's got to come up. Jake West's Evil Aliens from 2005. That's an English brain dead-esque splatter comedy horror about just killer aliens. Really, just very simple. It's got Emily Booth in it.
Brilliant. Love Emily
Fright
Booth.
Fest queen. But Jake West is also another big sort of Fright Fest batter. He also did those documentaries about the video nasties.
Oh, yeah.
Draconian Days and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Also, I've got to mention a film called Shocking Dark.
Shocking Dark? I don't know.
Which was also marketed as Terminator 2 before Terminator 2 came out.
Amazing. Oh my God, I'm just looking at the poster. It's a complete rip-off of Terminator. Amazing.
In a polluted future Venice, researchers work to improve the situation. One day, unknown forces start killing them. A team of soldiers and a couple of civilians are sent to investigate. Soon they encounter strange, murderous creatures.
That is brilliant.
It's directed by Bruno Mattei as well, who was prolific in seeing something get very, very popular mainstream and going, I could make an unofficial sequel to that, I think.
Brilliant. I love it.
He was a nutter. He is a nutter, Bruno Mattei. If you go through his work, he did Cruel Jaws, yeah. He did the unofficial Jaws 5, which used lots of footage from the Jaws films illegally.
Yeah, I was going to say, how does he get away with doing this stuff? That's mental.
Italian charm. As I say, I told you this Strange Life Forms thing was going to take some turns.
Yeah.
I'd also like to mention The Guyver and Guyver Dark Hero.
Oh, okay.
So The Guyver is available on Arrow and stars Mark Hamill.
Oh, amazing.
And it's very Power Ranger-esque.
Oh my God, it does look it, yeah.
Now the sequel, Guyver Dark Hero, I loved as a teenager. Loved it. And it's so hard to find now. I was really trying to find it, but it's kind of almost like martial arts action horror. So like Riccio meets Power Rangers.
Yes.
It's
That's
mad.
what it looks like from the pictures I'm looking at right now. It looks incredible.
You're looking at those 4 alien lads, aren't you? Like
Yeah. What is going on?
Oh, worth it. Like, they're not great, I'll be honest with you, but they're kind of fun. Like, a lot of this stuff is like a bit naff, but like, bless them.
Is this just stuff you loved as a child, basically, now you're listing off, essentially?
Well, look, I mean, you could do your bit afterwards if you've got any, but this is my bit. I also got mentioned, just came on Prime as well, so I think Stevie wants to cover it. It's The Brain. Just a fucking weird looking film. I haven't got around to catching it yet, but I thought I should mention it before he does an episode so you can win.
Get in there first.
Get in there first. I also want to mention The Deadly Spawn, which is another 80s. I used to have the sign up when I was collecting like DVDs in the back in the day. This was one of my Region 1 imports. It's from 1983.
Oh, yeah.
If you just look at the picture, I mean, that says it all, really. Alien creatures invade a small town. 14 years as long as the young boy attempts to escape them. And then these last 3 are not really horror again.
Oh, here we go.
Yes, Michael, I did like these as a child or a teenager, and I'm going to say them anyway.
I like it. We're all just learning a little bit more about Brad. I'm enjoying it.
So I'm going to mention My Stepmother Is an Alien.
Oh, that's a good film.
I think it's about to get a Blu-ray or like a Blu-ray release. I think it's just getting one out. I think Anton Bittel just reviewed it. With Kim Basinger and Dan Aykroyd.
Classic.
Speaking of Dan Aykroyd, Coneheads.
Oh, of course. Yep.
Which I argue is horror, because if you watch that dentist scene and don't recall in horror, there's something fundamentally wrong with you, because that's fucking gross.
Actually, and do you know what? While we're on the topic of films I should have included about dentists, let me just also say Little Shop of Horrors, because a lot of people...
Oh my God, they're going mad, aren't they?
People were asking me where was Little Shop of Horrors, and you're all correct. I should have included Little Shop of Horrors. Maybe one day we'll do a little bonus episode on that.
And what I would argue with that as well is you'll cover it in musical horror, which will be a very short season.
Short but excellent series. That'll be done at some point.
It's Phantom of Paradise.
Exactly. And this,
and finally, the last film that I want to talk about, very briefly, is the McDonald's commercial, stretched out to 1 hour and 40 minutes. It's the terrifying, horrific, nightmarish Mac and Me.
They were an average alien family living on their own planet. And we were an average family living on ours.
He took my Coke, Mom. Come on, you guys.
I don't have it. I didn't take it.
I knew it.
Accidents happen, and like us, they found themselves in a strange new neighborhood.
I like it.
Me too.
Shh. Communing with the Earth spirits.
Welcome to California, bud.
Alert. We have a malfunction.
I've never seen Mac and Me.
Mate, fix it immediately. It is... Go look at it. Go get it up. Go get it up.
I've seen pictures of this before. What is that thing?
It's E.T. ripoff to the nth degree, obviously. But it is also a massive McDonald's commercial. Like, it's got product placement from McDonald's throughout the entire film. It's about a wheelchair-bound lad who makes friends with an alien. Now, the running joke on this film is whenever Paul Rudd goes on to... whenever Paul Rudd goes on to US chat shows to plug his new film, they're always like, let's see a clip from your new film. And then it's always a clip from Mac and Me. It's mad, this film. I love it. I think Mystery Science Theatre have done a episode on it. It's like Riff Tracks or one of them lot have done it as well. It's a fucking nightmare, this film.
I love it. Look at his little face. I love this little alien.
It won 2 awards. What did it win? Oh, Razzies.
Razzies. Of course it's Razzies. Yeah. There you go. Oh my God. Well, I've got a long list of movies that I clearly need to catch up on.
And starting with Mac and Me.
Starting with Mac and Me. That took a turn I wasn't expecting.
I thought I'd sleep that
incredible. We've rattled through a lot. Well, you've rattled through a lot of titles there. Brad, shall we go through them one more time?
Not all of them, just probably the 10 we mentioned, right?
We'll go through the 10 we mentioned. Let's do that.
So Invasion, we had Species and Slither. In Abduction, we had Fire in the Sky. In Captured on Tape, we had The Fourth Kind and the Mcpherson Tape. In Off-World, we had Motherfucking Starship Troopers. In New Discoveries, we had The Vast of Night and the Block Island Sound. And in Strange Life Forms, we had grabbers and critters.
That's a great list. It's a very diverse, strong
That's what we aimed
list.
for.
I like it. I'm going to ask you the ridiculous question as ever, Brad. If you had to pick one there to recommend somebody, if they would like, I'm only watching one of these 10, which one shall I watch?
It's hard though, isn't it? Because like this is a horror podcast.
Believe it or not.
This episode would tell you quite the contrary. I mean, on paper, my favourite film is Starship Troopers, but my one that I recommend people watch is Fire in the Sky.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Fire in the Sky is definitely the one to check out for something pure horror. But otherwise, yeah, Starship Troopers is a proper classic, isn't it? Very good.
Is there anything you wanted to talk about, Mike?
I was just trying to think. I think you've covered everything there. I mean, like I've mentioned along the way, there were some sort of biggies that people sort of asked if we were covering that we haven't. I suppose one of the ones that we mentioned briefly in passing that I should just mention again is Gareth Edwards' Monsters, right? Which is a really impressive film, and I didn't really get time to cover it, but I think I was thinking about covering it, but I think it was, as good as it is, it's not really much of a horror film. It's sort of a road trip,
sci-fi,
almost love story with some monsters happening in the background, right? But it is a great film, obviously, famously, that Gareth Edwards made and edited and did all the special effects for on his little laptop in his bedroom, and it looks like an actual blockbuster.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
amazing.
And it had a sequel as well, didn't it? Monsters Dark Continent.
Yeah. Which actually was more of a proper monster action movie, wasn't it? Yeah. So that's good. That's one worth mentioning. Other than that, I think you've got it covered. Like I say, Little Shop of Horrors, obviously another big omission.
Didn't you say you wanted to talk to me about Cartman Gets an Anal Probe from South Park?
I can't forget. I was watching it the other day and I was like, oh my God.
You got to mention it.
The most important work of sci-fi, horror, alien fiction to date. Yeah, Cartman Gets an Anal Probe.
Whoa, look at that! Now do you believe us, Cartman? You guys can't scare me. I know you're making it all up. Cartman, there's an 80-foot satellite dish sticking out of your ass. Sure, you guys, whatever.
I mean, were you a South Park fan, Brad?
A bit, yeah. I mean, I do remember getting my BCG vaccination and taking a stuffed Mr. Hanky the Christmas Pooh with me.
Yeah, we all had those. I had a stuffed Cartman, I think. Yeah, loved it. Loved South Park.
Let me see if I can still do my impression of him. Let's see.
Oh, God.
Screw you guys.
It's very good.
It's not bad, is it?
Good. Yeah, it's very good. Yeah, I used to love everything that Matt Stone and Trey Parker did. But yeah, anyway, that's for another podcast, really. But yeah, Cartman Gets an Anal Probe. I mean, amazing. That's the pilot episode.
Can I just ask you, as maybe to wrap up, how much vital information do you think is really up our buttholes?
Oh, I know, right? Like, why are aliens so obsessed with probing us?
Like, what could be up there?
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing up there.
Why is that the first thing they're up to?
And if you're all doing it, why aren't they, much like kind of COVID research, why aren't they sharing it?
Just share your data.
And then we won't have this, you won't have to have all the different species doing it. Because they're like, well, we know what's up there now. Just shit.
Well, there you go. I think they're all perverts, basically, is the conclusion we've come to when it comes to these aliens.
Not to kink shame.
Not to kink shame. There we go. This has got very weird, so I'm going to wrap it up there.
There we go.
There we go. Brad, what an absolute pleasure. And let me ask you to finish, outside of your also-rans, what is your favourite alien horror film? Basically, is it Alien or The Thing? Because everyone names one of those two, don't they?
It's a real Sophie's choice, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's Mac and Me. No, it's it's The Thing.
Yeah.
It's The Thing.
But I mean, it's perfect.
Especially after the last 2 years we've had. I think it's all the more relevant now. It's an absolute lockdown banger.
It is a lockdown banger, a winter lockdown banger. It's perfect,
so enjoy it in January when we get fucked.
Yeah, right. When we're all stuck indoors again. It's so true. Amazing. Well, Brad, thank you as ever. Such a pleasure. And just remind us where people can find you out there online for more of your great takes.
You can find me on Letterboxd at Splatterpatter, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at HadBranson.
Amazing. Brad, thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
And that's it for our Alien Also Rans. Thank you so much for listening, and as ever, a huge thank you to the brilliant Brad Hanson. So please do get in touch. What movies did we miss out? I'm sure there's probably some that we forgot to mention. Let us know. Drop me a little email, evolutionofhorror@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. And if you want to discuss this week's episode with fellow listeners, join the discussion group. That's the Evolution of Horror discussion group, and that can be found on Facebook. You can find this podcast in all the usual podcast places, and if you get a chance, please drop us a little rating or review on Apple Podcasts, which really helps us get discovered by new listeners. So there we go, we've done it. We've reached the final chapter of our journey through the evolution of alien horror. Next week is our final double bill, a pair of modern classics to finish the Alien series. Next week, I'm going to be joined by a friend of the pod, the brilliant Rosie Fletcher, and we are going to be discussing Dan Trachtenberg's 10 Cloverfield Lane and John Krasinski's A Quiet Place. Join us next week for all of this and more on the Evolution of Horror.